Hello, hello, everyone. This is Jesse from the Laughing Lich Corporation with Brad. How are you, Brad?
Good, good. How y'all doing?
All right, so we wanted to just kind of go over some of our homebrew stuff. There are a few rules that we don't even have written down because it's kind of just our style of play, but we've changed a few things around over the years of playing. That if you guys are interested, you're more than welcome to steal these. We don't care; they're not patented, they are not protected under an OGL or anything, so you can definitely steal them and not even say our names. Don't care, but we let's see, just wanted to share. Let's see, the first one is dying breath action. So upon rolling 3 death fails, your character gets a rush of adrenaline. Immediately, out of turn order, you can have one action. This action is up to DM interpretation when you ask for what you would like to do. For example, an attack on an enemy will always hit and always crit when using this action. You can bless an object with your remaining power until the end of the encounter. You can break through a wall, allowing your allies to escape, and this definitely falls under the rule of cool and must be approved first by the GM before activating. If you are revived, you cannot use this action again for 7 days. So yeah, Brad, what do you think about it?
I enjoy it, but we don't really go down enough to use it, which I guess is a good thing. I think the last time we used it was, I want to say the Void Dragon, but it may have been in the final fight out of Telgor Tower when Kaylor went down.
Yep, I think when Kayla went down was the last one.
Yeah, but it's always memorable. It's just it probably would depend on a different party probably using it more often.
Uh,
Or
I should also mention our stream says playing Grim Dawn. We forgot to switch the name. We are looking over the homebrew today, so I apologize if that is not what people are expecting or looking right now. But anyway, I'm sorry, Brad. Continue.
I don't know. I was done.
Okay. So yeah, the Dying Breath action I think is a really, really fun thing. So for people who don't know, I run 3 different campaigns. All of them are Rise of the Drow, and you guys finished, and another group just finished as well. Another group is like smack dab in the middle of Rise of the Drow. But the Dying Breath action has come up many times for those groups, and they always get resurrected, of course, or they die and they just want to stay dead because they want to choose a new character or something. But it's just such a fun thematic thing that when you do die, instead of it being like this lackluster, oh, you fell to 0 hit points, oh, you failed all death saves, and then that's it. I hate that. I wanted something to be thematic, fun, exciting. You went down like this, and that was your legacy. And that's kind of where I came up with this. I shouldn't say I came up with this. I read a lot of things online, and people have this. It's a pretty common thing, I think. So I thought it was really, really fun and thematic.
It also helps with the probably a very rare situation where you go down before your turn is up, and if you die, it's like, well, I didn't get to do anything, and I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. You could
But
go a whole round without doing anything, and then right before your turn, you die, and it's like, well, balls.
yeah,
All right. And then the potion drinking. So again, this is a very common one in the D&D community. So drinking a potion is a bonus action. And administering a potion is an action. And while not in combat/stressful situations, you regain maximum health from all potions. What do you think of this one, Brad?
I like it. It just makes things a little bit easier, um, especially since it's equivalent to a lower level spell that usually is a bonus action anyway, but it saves you a little bit of spell slots.
Yeah, and it definitely it just makes combat way more exciting, fun, and fast paced. I feel like just slap a bonus action, done, and now you can still attack. So I feel like that is really really helpful as well. We added on the while not in combat slash stressful situations, you regain maximum health from all potions. I don't think we've used this before, or if we have, I don't remember. Do you recall doing this yet?
No, usually just because either one we forget, or two, it isn't such a big deal. And also, probably we just forgot. I didn't remember that.
Not a problem. Well, hopefully our group will be able to read through these and reread them. So then we have prayer to the gods. You can pray to your deity once per day by making a religion check. The DC is determined by your location, what you have done recently to potentially receive an answer, your relationship with said deity, and DM's discretion. The response will be more emotional than verbal in description. So this is one that I found online that I thought was really, really cool. And I thought you guys were going to use this all the freaking time to like get hints or get direction. And I feel like you've used this maybe 3 times over the course of like 3 years.
Yeah, I always just have bad religion rolls, so I've decided not to use it. Also, I mean, I think sometimes the situations that we would use it in, we're able to find another way to figure it out before we either remember or, I guess, resort to this. I feel like it's a kind of like, not necessarily like a last ditch, but it's like, oh man, I can't think of anything. I need some help, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
obviously, with a group, it's different for everybody, so someone might understand it better.
Yeah, I implemented this to be a more roleplay opportunity for you guys to interact with the deities. I'm really hoping that in our next campaign, you guys use this more often because the deities in the new campaign are going to be a lot more like Greek gods, where they're more human than God, or they're more personified. You know, that's why because we're going to go into the epic levels, you kind of need deities that are like the Greek gods, more mistake prone and like a dysfunctional family sort of thing. So I'm hoping that prayer to the gods is more useful for you guys in the higher levels, epic levels of 21 and above, as well as in our next campaign. All right. So now NPC boon. If an NPC is roaming with the party, they bestow a generalized boon on the party instead of rolling their own initiative and taking actions. This is to save time and give the players more of a center stage. This boon could include a +1 perception checks while in the underworld, a +1 to all melee attack, combat attack rolls, and damage rolls. Resistance to certain types of damages, like if an NPC has a magic shield that they help guard you from fire damage or something, or negating damage in full once per encounter for a specific scenario, such as pushing people out of the way of an incoming spell that requires a dex save. This rule does not apply for specific NPCs. And so I saw this, and the main thing that I remember reading about on the interwebs is DMs hated keeping track of all the friends and all of the little creatures and all the little NPCs that the characters just wanted to like, come to our party, come on, join, go on an adventure with us. And the DMs are like, oh god, I don't want to freaking roll for all these people. So that's, I think, where it originated from. You guys are pretty good about this. You don't really collect people or NPCs. But I still wanted this there because there would be NPCs like Mia that you'd have to travel with, and it would give you some boons here and there. And I haven't really given more NPC boons unless you guys asked for it, which you guys don't ask for it because I think, again, we forget about it. And so like I don't prep, if this character follows, they're going to give this NPC boon. I just never really remember, or I make it up on the spot. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, we like the glory to ourselves, so those NPCs can stay in their taverns. I do like it, and it definitely helps DMs with the magical menagerie of some parties. But I mean, I like it. It's just we don't really use it because fuck them NPCs. Not that we don't like them, just won't have to deal with them, I guess. But I would like to include a little bit more of that. Like, it might help with not necessarily like a familiar, but having like camp animals. Like maybe one of us feeds like a raven or a crow and it follows us when we travel and likes us because we fed it or something.
Yeah, that kind of falls into like Stibble's Codex of Companions that we've used before, where you have a relationship with a creature like that. Yeah, this NPC boot is definitely more for humanoids that you can interact with, I think. Not that it wouldn't also apply. You could probably do it for like the Stibble's Codex creatures, but they already give you a lot if you're using those rules. So unless you say, "Hey, I don't want to bother with all those rules. Give me something simple," and then we can do an NPC boon. So like that'd be fine with me. But yeah, go ahead.
I do have an idea. Now, would it be possible for an NPC to give like a negative instead of just a positive?
Where they smell really bad, so all charisma checks are made with disadvantage.
Right. Or like for later level characters, like maybe you guys have a fan club and they're following you around. They're being annoying.
-1 to all stealth checks.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I love you. Arrow to the face.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually, I never thought of that, but that could be a thing. Or like or an NPC boon and bane. So you get a +1 to charisma checks because Mia is with you, but Mia is a big clumsy dwarf, and he it's -1 to all stealth checks for whoever is next to him. That could be something else as well.
Yeah. And it would if we had to do like a escort mission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that.
In my other campaign, excuse me. Oh God. Okay. In my other campaign, we actually use the NPC boon every single session because one of the characters fell in love with an NPC and they decided to bring him along. And in as a DM, the way that I think about these things is, do I want to have a DM PC? Hell no, I don't. That's way more than I want to manage. All right, how do I do this easily? Do I want to give a second PC to that character or that player? No. Okay, how about we just give them a +1 to all attacks and damage while this NPC is next to them? They're their boyfriend for now. Okay, I can deal with that. That sounds cool. And I kind of use that character, NPC, as like a voice of clever remarks. So whenever the characters are doing something stupid, he'll make a remark like, "Well, that's just dumb," or something along those lines. And it's kind of my way as a DM to like speak through him and be like, "That's a dumb idea. Don't do that."
Oh, I don't want to think about how many times you thought that for us.
Well, I always want player agency the most, and with the other group, I like the characters also ask that NPC, "What do you think?" And my answer is always, "I don't know. I'm not the center stage person. I'm just following you guys." Like I don't want my influence on them too much. If something is like really off the rails, then he'll say something clever and funny. But like, I also don't want to take away that player agency where anything can happen because you got to have that balance. But anyway, that's how I use the NPC boon for at least that group. All right, and the next one, all death saves are hidden. What do you think of this one?
I like it. It's not like you're going to see that dead guy rolling a dice in the dungeon to see if they're going to make it or not. But, I mean, I like it. I mean, I can't think of any negatives to it.
Do you think any of our players metagame? Accidentally or on purpose?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to really get fully into the mind of a character, and especially if you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a long time, it's hard to be like, okay, I know what this is. I have to pretend to not know what this is,
Mm-hmm.
but everything I have doesn't work. So I kind of have to fudge it a little bit to be like, oh, look at that. This thing worked for no reason when nothing else did.
Yeah, I need to I don't know. You guys know me by now. You guys know a lot of my tricks and stuff.
Your little traps
And
pitfalls.
yep. And so that's kind of why I like having modules because I just mostly follow the module with a few little tweaks here and there. But I follow those modules pretty well, and I think they do a really good job that I could not do. But I'm trying to design my own like dungeons or traps or storylines that I want you guys to go through. Because obviously we're now off the rails for Rise of the Drow, the campaign, because we kind of finished it. So I'm trying to learn more how to do that, and so I've actually been using. Do you know who Guy Schlanders is from How to Be a Great GM on YouTube?
No, no.
He has a huge D&D channel, well, tabletop RPG channel, but he also did a few Kickstarters, and he did one called How to Create an Epic Campaign, and I think it's actually a really well written, very good design in a book. And so I've been reading through that and trying to like design things through that. But yeah, so that's in essence what I'm trying to do. But going back to the all death saves are hidden thing is another thing that we're trying to do is keep metagaming out a little bit. All right. Anywho, ritual resurrection. After you are resurrected for the first time, every subsequent resurrection will require a group check religion DC 10, increasing by 5 for every additional resurrection. Upon a failure, your soul is lost to the afterlife for good. This only applies to the spells Raise Dead, Resurrection, and True Resurrection. Revivify may be used as often as you like, as long as it is within the spell's limitations and components are provided. Using Resurrection decreases the DC by 2. Using True Resurrection decreases the DC by 4. So when I saw this, I think I may have stolen this from Critical Role and a few other places, but I loved it. Because, not that I like killing characters, I actually hate it. I hate killing characters. But I really love this because if a character does die, at least I feel like I've given them every chance possible to not die. And I feel better about that. And the ritual resurrection can be kind of like a funeral rite when they don't respond to after the resurrection, and then they pass away, and that's it.
Right. I do like it. And I mean, again, we don't really run into this issue too much. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea, at least how I think of it, like working in game is like someone who's continuously dying is like, I don't know, kind of don't want to like go through this again. Someone like it who's continuously dying. It's not necessarily like, I don't want to come back. It's just tiring to live and die, I guess. They become less willing to come back after a couple times.
Yeah, like that's the thematic reason, of course, but
right.
I just hate it because you guys put so much effort into your backstories. You guys put so much effort into, doing all these things, and then I put effort into it as well. Like, I put effort into, like, okay, this is where the NPCs are that you designed. This is where your town is that you designed. And then you die. And now I'm like, well, fuck, do I just keep it? Like, I don't know. All these plans that I had for you are now gone. I don't know. For me, I just hate it, but I'll get over it eventually. Maybe being a dad will make me hardened.
I don't know. I kind of like having characters die off because, yeah, it is a lot of work put into it, but it is how it is sometimes. Which is, I think, kind of why I don't really write a whole lot of backstory when I first started out a character. 'Cause maybe they don't make it, and maybe I don't know what I'm doing when I create backstories and then realize, I had something better 3 sessions in for this character.
Yeah, but we could always change it ad hoc, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I like consequences for my actions, and if I fuck up, I kind of want my guy to die. You know, learn not to do that for the next character. But everyone's different, and I like killing characters. It's fun.
Okay. My wife just texted me. Sorry for this interlude, but my wife just texted me because she's on call tonight, and they so they were. She sent me a text message between her and her coworker, and it's about like, hey, these are the cases that are on for tonight. My wife works in anesthesia, and and it says that there is a penile fracture to go for surgery soon. Someone broke their dick.
Happens more often than you think.
I know, but and my wife texted me. She's like, sounds like I might have to go in to take care of a broken dick. And I go, ooh, that's fun. And then she goes, I hope it was worth it for him.
Death by Snoo.
I don't know about that.
Broken dick by Snoo.
Oh gosh. Anywho, but anyway, so yeah, I like the ritual resurrection because it's more thematic, and it means that you can die several times early on in the game, and because if you use something like True Resurrection or Resurrection, it will lower the DC a little bit, so there's more of a chance that you will make it. So the further you go on, you're moving the goalposts further out, but you're also stepping forward a little bit as well when you use those high-level spells, if you have the components for them. And it gives you an incentive to use those components. Whereas generally when people die, and it's too long for Revivify, oh, raise dead, only 500 gold pieces, not a problem. Do it, you're done. But, like, you know, what if you're like, well, they've already died 5 times, and I have True Resurrection, and it will lower the DC. So, yeah, see, I like it that you can play that game a little bit. But, yeah, anyway, that is my thought process on Ritual Resurrection. So the next one is Exhaustion on 0. When a character drops to 0 hit points, they gain 1 level of exhaustion. When a character fails all 3 death saving throws, they gain another level of exhaustion for the purposes of being revived. What do you think of this?
Well, it definitely gives meaning to Dead Tired, but I do enjoy it. I mean, even though you're not technically dead yet, when you hit 0, it's still an exhausting experience getting the shit kicked out of you or zapped to death.
Exactly.
So, I like it. I mean, makes sense. Good use. Annoying if it's like, I just died to a trap at the beginning of the dungeon. Now I have to deal with this for the whole thing, but search for traps. You learn something.
Yeah, so I actually got this one from D&D Shorts on YouTube. The funny guy who makes a lot of weird and interesting videos. But he I don't know if he got it from somewhere or if he made it up himself, but he was explaining, you know, dropping to 0 hit points in D&D 5e is like not a big deal. All you got to do is a quick healing word across the battlefield, and then all of a sudden they're up again. You know, like, it's not that big of a deal. So to make healing more valuable is this, you know, if you do drop to 0 hit points, you get a point of exhaustion, and that's a -1 to all D20 tests and your saving throws. So, I'm sorry, your spell save DC. So if your spell save DC is 19 or whatever it is for Sporalina, and she has 1 point of exhaustion, it's now an 18. So it will decrease your spell save DC. That's pretty huge. And I love it. but it makes it so that when you start to approach 0 hit points, you're not thinking, oh, I'm just going to hit 0 hit points and then pop back up because someone will heal me. You're thinking, oh shit, if I drop to 0 hit points, I'm going to take that level of exhaustion, and I cannot do that because my spell save DC is already that too low, or something along those lines. So it makes it so that healing is more important before you hit 0 hit points. It makes healing better, in essence.
Yeah, adds a little bit of tactics to dying or avoiding death, whereas normally it's not an issue.
All right.
Like, you're not just gonna, especially like in a dungeon or something, you're not just gonna gung ho walk through traps because, if I die, I die.
Yeah, what if you're already at 1 hit point and you're like, guys, it's fine. I'm just gonna run through this, take all the hit points and trigger all the traps, fail and get to 0 hit points and just res me, or just heal me up with a slap on the butt with a healing word or something. Like, that removes that situation because you take a point of exhaustion. So I do like it. All right. And then lastly, this one I don't think we've implemented yet. I'm still toying around with it, but resistances and vulnerability. Resistances have not changed, but vulnerability can give bonus damage rather than a static double damage. This is to increase the amount of monsters who are vulnerable to certain attacks. A creature vulnerable to a certain type of damage will take an extra dice of that damage per turn. So the way that I am thinking about this is, so if you have something like Fireball, and it's, a plant monster, and it's vulnerable to fire, well, double damage on a Fireball is fucking ludicrous. It's insane the amount of damage it would actually do. And they'd be dead instantly. So it's a little bit too overpowered, and that's why I wanted to switch up the vulnerability rules a little bit, so that it would give you a boost, it would be good, but it's not ridiculously overpowered, because there's only like 50 monsters in all of D&D 5e that have a vulnerability. It's just not used because it's just so fucking powerful. But anyway, what is your thoughts on this?
I like it. And it definitely also helps PCs a little bit, I would imagine, because once you're facing the big bad, if you've dealt with them at all, they'll probably know if you have a vulnerability and just target you first, because it takes less to do more. Then you're kind of screwed. And I kind of like the idea of adding more monsters with vulnerabilities. So, I mean, it works. I like it. But we haven't really used it yet, so we kind of have to feel it out once we get there.
Yeah, and I also wanted to... I also had a different idea that I did not write down for whatever reason. But in essence, it would do an extra dice of damage for every 3 dice that are rolled. So, rounded down, of course. So, like, if you do Fireball, it's 86 fire damage. But if they're vulnerable to fire, it would do 96. Well, with the second rule that I just said, per 3 dice, it would do an extra dice of damage. Now it's 10d6. So it scales with the amount of spell slot you want to use. It's not just a flat extra die. It's if you use a really powerful, lightning spell and it rolls 10d6, it's going to roll an extra 3d6 on top of that as the vulnerability. Versus if someone has just like a lightning, shocking grasp, it's just a 1d, I think it's a 1d8, and it would do an extra dice of damage plus that. So technically that's like doubling your damage, but it's not crazy. Whereas your higher level spells, yes, you get extra dice, and the higher level you get, the more dice you get, but it's not doubling the damage of those kinds of spells, Yeah,
it's like adding... I do like it more than just straight up double damage, because it's like a vulnerability isn't like, I am grass and burning hurts a lot, but I'm not going to die if like a match hits me. But if you use higher stuff, like it upscales it a little bit every time. It's like, yeah, a match isn't going to hurt like a normal person, but like Shambling Mound is going to hurt a little bit more. But Fireball is going to do a lot more, but it's already extremely powerful. I don't know. Kind of lost my train there. But, I don't know. It's like upcasting them without having to use a higher level spell slot for something.
Well, that is a look at Laughing Lich Corporation's homebrew rules. If you guys have a recommendation, we would love to hear it and see if we wanted to implement it. But I think that is all we have. Brad, any last words?
Crying is a free action.
Can't forget that one. Crying is a free action. All right. Thank you all so much, and we will see you in the next one.